Hey, I'm Sophia. I'm 26 years old today, and I'm sitting here in the United States, and I'm creating a video about what happens when your ex tries to ruin your wedding. Picture this. It's your first dance, a moment of pure, unadulterated bliss, just you and your partner swaying to your song. Suddenly, the music cuts out. Then, a rogue champagne cork, seemingly accidentally but perfectly aimed, hits your partner square in the face. Or perhaps your magnificent wedding cake, a masterpiece of culinary art that cost a small fortune and countless hours of planning, mysteriously collapses just before the cutting ceremony, not just falling, but crumbling into an unidentifiable mess. Coincidence? Or the calculated chaos of an ex scorned, subtly pulling strings from the shadows, or even physically tampering with your celebration? The line between an accidental mishap and intentional sabotage can be terrifyingly blurry, especially when emotions are running high and a vengeful ex is lurking. We're going to explore the chilling telltale signs that an ex might be behind the scenes, masterfully pulling the strings of disaster, turning your dream day into a logistical nightmare. And more importantly, we'll uncover how couples, faced with such profound disruption, have fought back, not just to salvage their wedding, but to reclaim their joy and send a clear message. You won't win. It's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it? Realizing that someone you once shared intimate moments with, someone you once cared deeply for, could harbor such destructive and malicious intentions. But facing that reality, as painful as it might be, is absolutely crucial. These aren't just random anecdotes for our entertainment. They're cautionary tales that highlight the critical importance of setting firm boundaries, recognizing those subtle but undeniable red flags, and having a robust plan in place for every conceivable scenario. Because when your wedding day, a once-in-a-lifetime event, is on the line, you need to be prepared for anything and everything. That includes the uninvited guest who refuses to stay in the past, the ghost of a former relationship that tries to haunt your present, and the calculated attempts to disrupt your future. Let's delve deeper into the twisted motivations and the ingenious, albeit dark, methods some exes employ to try and steal your spotlight, and more importantly, how resilient couples have overcome these attacks to truly celebrate their love. The eye. Twisted mind. Why exes try to ruin weddings. So, why do some exes go to such extreme lengths to disrupt or even destroy a wedding? It's rarely just about a lingering flame of love or a simple case of jealousy. More often, it's a complex, volatile cocktail of darker, more insidious emotions and psychological drivers. Understanding these motivations can be a crucial first step in protecting yourself and your special day. First and foremost, there's unresolved anger and resentment. Breakups, especially bitter or unexpected ones, can leave deep emotional scars. If an ex hasn't genuinely processed their feelings, if they still harbor resentment over how things ended, or if they feel wronged, your wedding day can become the perfect, highly visible target for unleashing all that pent-up fury. It's a misguided act of revenge, a way to inflict pain because they themselves are hurting. A perverse form of evening the score for perceived slights or betrayals. They might believe that by ruining your wedding, they are getting retribution, or at least making you feel a fraction of the pain they experienced. Then we have jealousy, but not always in the traditional sense of wanting you back. Sometimes, it's simply the inability to tolerate your happiness without them. They see your moving on, your public declaration of love for someone else, as a personal affront. It's a bitter pill to swallow for someone who envisioned a future with you. This jealousy can morph into a desire to inflict misery, to make you feel as small and unhappy as they do. It's a toxic envy that festers and explodes on what should be your happiest day. A strong element of control also plays a significant role. For some exes, especially those with controlling or manipulative personalities, your wedding represents the ultimate loss of control over you and your narrative. They can't stand the idea of you being happy and moving forward independently. By causing chaos, they are attempting to reassert some form of power, to prove that they can still affect your life, that they still hold some sway over your emotions and your plans. It's about demonstrating their continued relevance, even if it's a negative one. For individuals with narcissistic tendencies, your wedding day can be a profound injury to their ego. They view your moving on as a personal insult, a public rejection of their inherent superiority. A narcissist believes they are entitled to everything, including your attention and devotion. The idea of you being happy with someone else is an intolerable wound to their self-esteem. They can't stand the idea of you being happy without them, and they'll go to extraordinary, often destructive lengths to disrupt that happiness. It's not about genuinely loving you. It's about owning you, about proving their perceived dominance. They want to exert their power and remind you, and everyone else, that they were once significant in your life, even if it means resorting to destructive tactics. Finally, there's the sheer inability to accept finality. For some exes, the wedding day represents the ultimate, undeniable finality of the breakup. It's no longer just a breakup, it's a permanent shift, a public declaration that you have chosen a different path. This can trigger intense feelings of loss, rejection, and grief, even if the relationship ended years ago. They might be deluding themselves into believing there's still a chance, and the wedding day is the moment the illusion shatters. In a desperate attempt to prevent that finality, they lash out, hoping to somehow halt the inevitable, or at least leave a mark on the day. Understanding these underlying psychological drivers isn't about excusing their behavior, but about recognizing the depth of the emotional turmoil that can fuel such extreme actions. It helps you depersonalize the attack, recognizing that it's often more about their issues than it is about you. The wildest wedding wreckers, real stories of sabotage. Let's dive into some truly mind-boggling real-life accounts of exes attempting to wreak havoc on weddings. Please note, while these stories are heavily inspired by true events, some details have been altered or combined for privacy, narrative flow, and dramatic impact. The core malicious intent, however, remains shockingly authentic. The setup. Maria and Alex had planned their rustic barn wedding for months. It was meant to be intimate, charming, and filled with fairy lights. Maria's ex, Ben, a volatile individual she'd mercifully escaped, had been sending increasingly erratic messages in the weeks leading up to the wedding. He claimed he still loved her, that she was making a mistake, but Maria had blocked him on everything. The sabotage. The night before the wedding, as Maria and her bridesmaids were putting the finishing touches on the decorations in the barn, a small fire broke out in a supply shed adjacent to the main venue. It was quickly extinguished, but the smell of smoke lingered, and some essential decorative items were destroyed. The official report called it an electrical malfunction. However, a security camera from a nearby property, reviewed weeks later, showed a shadowy figure consistent with Ben's build sneaking around the shed just before the fire started. He hadn't intended to burn down the entire barn, but rather to cause just enough disruption, a scare, to throw everything into chaos on the day of. The aftermath and resilience. Maria and Alex were shaken, but refused to let it ruin their day. Friends and family rallied, replacing damaged decorations and air freshening the barn. They chose to transform the fear into fuel for their determination. During the reception, Alex subtly incorporated a line into his speech, thanking everyone for helping us navigate unexpected challenges, proving that our love can withstand any heat. It was a quiet defiance, a way to acknowledge the attack without giving Ben the satisfaction of a direct public confrontation. They filed a police report with the new evidence, and Ben was eventually issued a restraining order, though it didn't prevent them from living with the lingering unease. This act wasn't just about arson, it was about psychological intimidation, a desperate attempt to create fear and uncertainty. The setup. Chloe and David were head over heels in love. David's ex-girlfriend, Sarah, had always been possessive and had never truly accepted their breakup, despite it being years ago. She was known for her manipulative tendencies and a history of spreading rumors. The sabotage. On the morning of the wedding, just as Chloe was getting her hair done, she received a series of anonymous emails. These emails contained heavily photoshopped images of David with Sarah, fabricated text messages implying a secret ongoing affair, and even a confession written in a font designed to mimic David's handwriting, detailing his supposed doubts about marrying Chloe. The emails were also sent to several key guests, including Chloe's parents. The intent was clear: to sow doubt, create immediate panic, and force Chloe to confront David on the most stressful day of their lives. They chose to transform the attempted smear campaign into a testament to their unbreakable bond. They later pursued legal action for cyber harassment, sending a clear message that such tactics would not be tolerated. The revelation hit like a thunderclap. My mother began to cry silently while my father stared at Ethan with dawning comprehension. "We gave you everything," he said quietly. "Our savings, our house, our retirement." Ethan's demeanor shifted from defensive to desperate. It wasn't supposed to collapse like this. I was going to make it right before anyone found out. "With what money?" I asked. "The money you were trying to get from me, more victims." He had no answer for that. My father turned. To me, his expression unreadable. "Why are you showing us this? To gloat? To say I told you so?" "No," I said firmly. "I'm showing you this because, despite everything, you're still my parents. You deserve to know the truth before the FBI interview. And because I wanted you to understand that when I refused to give Ethan money, I was trying to protect all of us, including him." "So what now?" my mother asked, dabbing at her eyes. "Are we supposed to thank you for this revelation?" Her bitterness stung, but didn't surprise me. Decades of family dynamics wouldn't change in one meeting. "Now we discuss how we move forward," I said, straightening my shoulders. "I've prepared a document outlining my terms for any future relationship between us and Thomas." I distributed copies of a simple agreement Patricia had helped me draft. It outlined basic expectations. No unsupervised contact with Thomas until he personally requested it. Family therapy with Dr. Bennett before any regular visitation could resume. A formal apology to Thomas and their cooperation with the FBI investigation. "This is ridiculous," my father scoffed, pushing the paper away. "We don't need your permission to see our grandson." "Actually, you do," Patricia interjected professionally. "Given the documented abandonment, any court would grant Miranda full discretion over contact between you and Thomas." "You're punishing us for one mistake," my mother protested. "It wasn't a mistake," I corrected her. "It was a choice, a deliberate choice to use an innocent child as a weapon. And it wasn't just one incident. It was the culmination of a lifetime of choices that prioritized Ethan over everything, including your own financial security and Thomas's emotional well-being." I took a deep breath before continuing. "I'm offering conditional forgiveness and a path forward, whether you take it as your choice, but understand this. I will never again allow Thomas to be collateral damage in this family's dysfunction." My father stood abruptly. "We're not signing this. Come on, Nancy." My mother hesitated, looking between my father and me before slowly rising to follow him. "The FBI will be in touch." I called after them as they left. "Whether you cooperate or not is your choice, but it will affect the outcome." Ethan remained seated, staring at the damning emails still displayed on my laptop. "You could have deleted these," he said quietly. "Protected me like you protected our parents. Or me or Thomas." He flinched. "I messed up. I got in over my head with gambling debts. Secure coins seemed like a way out." His admission surprised me. Gambling. Started in college. Got worse after each. Failed business. The more I lost, the more desperate I got. He rubbed his face tiredly. I never meant for it to go this far, but it did, Ethan. And now we're all paying the price. He nodded, the bravado finally completely gone. What happens now with the FBI? I don't know, I answered honestly. That depends on what you tell them, how cooperative you are, and what evidence they already have against you and us, you and me. I consider the question carefully. I can't have you in my life right now, Ethan. Maybe not ever, but I'll help you get treatment for your gambling addiction if you want it. That's all I can offer. He seemed about to argue, then deflated. I'd like that. The treatment, I mean. The audacity of the request left me momentarily speechless. After everything they'd done, they expected me to take them in. You left my son, your grandson, alone at a church. You told him I didn't want him anymore. He still has nightmares, and now you want my help. We made a mistake, he admitted, though his tone suggested he considered it a minor error in judgment, rather than a traumatic act of cruelty. We were desperate. Ethan convinced us his opportunity would solve everything if we just invested enough. A mistake, I echoed incredulously. A mistake is forgetting to pick someone up. A mistake is burning. Dinner. What you did was calculated emotional abuse of an innocent child. We're still your parents, Miranda, he said, his voice hardening. After everything we've done for you. Done for me? I interrupted. What exactly have you done for me that wasn't also done twice over for Ethan? When Robert died, you babysat Thomas twice. Twice? Dad. I was a widowed mother trying to keep a business afloat, and you were too busy funding Ethan's food truck to help. The front door opened, and Thomas's voice called out, Mom, I'm home. Before he appeared in the living room doorway with Alicia, behind him, her expression changing from cheerful to concerned as she assessed the situation. Thomas froze when he saw his grandfather, his small body tensing visibly. Grandpa. The fear in my son's voice crystallized everything for me. Dad, you need to leave now. Thomas, come give your grandpa a hug, my father said, ignoring me completely. Thomas backed away, moving closer to Alicia. No, thank you, he whispered. My father's face darkened. See what you've done? Turned him against his family. Alicia, could you take Thomas to his room for a minute? I asked, my voice deadly calm. Once they were gone, I turned back to my father. You did this, not me. You destroyed his trust when you abandoned him, and now you have the nerve to blame me. Your mother and I need somewhere to stay, Miranda, just until we figure things out. No, I said firmly. I'll not bring that toxicity back into our lives. Thomas deserves better. I deserve better. So you'll abandon your own parents after all we've sacrificed for this family. I'm not abandoning you. I'm establishing boundaries. There's a difference. He stood, anger replacing his earlier dejection. Your brother was right about you. Always thought you were better than the rest of us. As he walked toward the door, I called after him. Dad, I do hope you and Mom land on your feet, but it won't be by using me or Thomas ever again. After he left, I sat with Thomas, explaining as best I could that sometimes adults make bad choices when they're scared or angry. Like when I hit Joey last year when he took my action figure, Thomas asked something like that. I agreed, but bigger. Grandma and Grandpa made very big mistakes, and now they have to deal with those consequences. Are they going to be homeless? He asked, his compassion showing through despite his fear. No, sweetie. They have other family helping them, but they won't be staying with us. Good, he said quietly. They scare me now. His simple honesty broke my heart all over again. Later that evening, an anonymous email arrived in my inbox with a subject line, Your brother knew. The attached documents showed correspondence between Ethan and the Secure Coin founders discussing recruitment strategies and commission structures. Most damning was an email where Ethan specifically mentioned getting his parents to remortgage their house with a chilling line. They're good for at least $150,000. Working on my sister too, but she's more skeptical. I forwarded the evidence to Patricia, who confirmed it should go to the FBI. But before I did, I faced an ethical dilemma. Should I warn my parents that their golden child had knowingly led them into financial ruin? The decision was complicated, by the knowledge that they would likely never believe me over Ethan. Some family dynamics never change, no matter how much evidence exists to the contrary. After consulting with Patricia and Dr. Bennett, I decided to arrange a family meeting on tatami neutral ground. Patricia offered her office conference room with the additional security of her staff nearby if needed. The FBI investigation into Secure Coin was proceeding, but Agent Reynolds agreed to delay interviewing my parents until after our meeting. "You're not obligated to give them this courtesy," Patricia reminded me as we prepared the conference room. "They certainly didn't extend any to you or Thomas." "I know," I sighed, "but I need to do this my way. I need to look them in the eyes when they learn what Ethan did." She nodded, understanding my need for closure, if not agreeing with my methods. My parents arrived first, looking worn and diminished. My mother, Nancy, usually impeccably presented, wore mismatched earrings and hadn't styled her hair. My father's defiance from our last encounter had faded into something closer to resignation. Ethan arrived last, striding in with unearned confidence, designer sunglasses perched on his head. Despite the overcast day, his smile faltered when he saw Patricia sitting beside me. "What's this, an intervention?" he joked weakly, taking the seat farthest from me. "Something like that?" I replied, coolly. "Thank you all for coming. Can we make this quick?" Ethan asked, checking his watch. "I have a meeting with investors later." The irony wasn't lost on any of us. "More cryptocurrency investors?" I asked, opening my laptop like the ones from Secure Coin. His expression flickered briefly before settling back into practice nonulence. That situation was unfortunate. I was a victim. As he stood to leave, there was a commotion in the hallway. Agent Reynolds appeared at the door with two other agents. "Ethan Johnson," he asked formally. Ethan nodded, resignation washing over his features. "We have some questions regarding your involvement with Secure Coin. Subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Remember, sometimes creating boundaries isn't about cutting people off. It's about protecting what matters most." Thank you for listening to our journey, and I hope it helps anyone facing navigating the wedding day disruption. Maintain your composure, the hardest part. This is easier said than done, but remember, your ex wants a reaction. They thrive on drama and your emotional distress. Do not give them the satisfaction. Your calm demeanor is your most powerful weapon against their chaos. Take a deep breath and remind yourself this day is about you and your partner. Do not engage directly. If your ex shows up, tries to talk to you, or attempts to cause a scene, do not engage. Do not argue, do not plead, do not make eye contact, and certainly do not acknowledge them. Your silence and indifference are powerful. Immediately alert your designated security or trusted peacekeeper to handle the situation. Trust your support system. Lean heavily on your wedding planner, venue staff, security, and especially your designated trusted friends. They are there to help you. Delegate the problem-solving and removal of your ex to them, so you can remain focused on your special day and your partner. This is why advance preparation is so important. Present a united front with your partner. Your partner might be just as shocked, upset, or angry as you are. Reassure each other, and together, present a united front against any disruption. Hold hands, exchange knowing glances, or simply stay physically close. This sends a powerful message to your ex and everyone else that their antics cannot break your bond. Discreetly document everything, if safe and necessary. If your ex is causing a significant, disruptive problem that could have legal ramifications, e.g., property damage, physical threats, severe harassment, try to discreetly document their behavior with photos or video if it's safe to do so and doesn't draw more attention to them. This evidence can be crucial for legal action later. However, prioritize your safety and the smooth flow of your wedding over getting perfect evidence. Focus on the love. No matter what happens, consciously redirect your attention back to your partner, your vows, and the love that brought you here. Look into their eyes, feel their hand, and remember why you're there. Don't let an ex's negativity overshadow the profound joy of your commitment. Your happiness is the ultimate revenge. Allow yourself to process your emotions. It's absolutely okay to feel angry, violated, hurt, or even a sense of lingering anxiety. Don't try to dismiss these feelings. Talk to your partner, a trusted friend, a family member, or consider speaking with a therapist about your experience. Processing these emotions healthily will prevent them from festering. Evaluate legal action. If your ex's actions were severe, e.g., vandalism, physical assault, threats, prolonged harassment, cyberstalking, false reports to authorities, immediately consult with a lawyer. There may be legal avenues you can pursue to seek protection, e.g., a restraining order, or compensation for damages, and to ensure they don't repeat such behavior. Reinforce no contact. If you haven't already, formally block your ex on all remaining social media platforms, phone numbers, and email addresses. Cut off all avenues of communication to prevent future disturbances and ensure your peace of mind. This is a crucial step in healing and moving forward. Focus on building your marriage. Ultimately, your wedding day is just the beautiful beginning of your life together. Don't let the negativity and drama of an ex taint your future or cast a shadow over your new marriage. Invest your energy into building a strong, happy, and healthy relationship with your spouse. Their actions were a reflection of their own deep-seated issues and unhappiness, not a reflection of your worth or the validity of your love. Your happiness, your peace, and your thriving marriage are the most powerful forms of revenge you can ever enact. Building a strong foundation. Beyond the disaster. The stories we've heard today, while dramatically intense, underscore a crucial, empowering point: the inherent strength and resilience of your relationship. When an ex attempts to interfere, it can feel like a profound test. How you and your partner choose to navigate such a challenge, how you respond to the unexpected, can actually forge an even stronger bond, proving to you both that you can face adversity together and emerge stronger. It highlights the critical importance of open and honest communication, unwavering trust in each other, and a shared, unbreakable commitment to your future, regardless of external interference.